Good morning. I'm working for AES Corporation, and I'm a physicist, so I believe that the speed of light cannot be surpassed. I have so many slides that if I can make it in 15 minutes, well, probably I'm violating some of the basic laws of physics. The emphasis, I've made this presentation, the experience we had in EDC. EDC is Electricidad de Caracas, an acronym for Electricidad de Caracas. And then the experience continued in Electro Paulo, which is another company run by AES in Sao Paulo. In Caracas, we had 1 million clients. In Electro Paulo, Sao Paulo, 5.5 million. So we're talking about a large number of clients, The problem is the same, is the same, unfortunately. It's a large portion of Caracas, Sao Paulo, and most of our countries in Latin America really are living in poverty. But my story, this is the first time I'm going to make emphasis not in how many transformers we install, how many poles, lamps that we change and all that. No, I'm going to make an introduction is going to be very fast and on what we did. But then I'm going to use, hopefully, at least 6 minutes, for what happened inside the company, because this process starts really inside the company. For example, Electricidad Caracas at that time was a company, it was a very well-run company that was used to provide a high-quality service. Patricia, she can witness, she's a witness of that, So, but the low income, the slums, that was really a problem, So when we started in the year 2004 to try to change that, just first of all from a business perspective, we had which is called the non-technical losses, was huge, and those illegal consumers. The idea was this: okay, how to transform illegal consumers into legal consumers or clients, And I tell you, it was as difficult to do it inside a company that had a tradition of decades and decades of success, not just financially, but also as a good provider, so supplier of energy to Caracas. So that's I would try to move the slides, Perhaps I'm going to be too fast in some slides, but my goal is at the end, not at the beginning. Okay, here we have a picture. We have two pictures. This is Paraisópolis, which is a slum, a favela in Sao Paulo. And here we see Morumbi, which is a high middle class sector and area. And look at the interface here, Look at the interface here. Here we did the Paraisópolis experiment. First of all, it was an experiment. Today, it's no longer an experiment. It's something which is business, part of the business. And here we have Caracas. Here we have Petare, which is a barrio, as the favelas are called in Venezuela. And here we have also middle-class urbanization. So those pictures reminds me of a picture I saw 6 months ago in the tsunami in Japan, And frankly, the resemblance is painful, really, to look at. So this is more or less what I have been my introduction, but the dilemma was, okay, are we going to continue to see this as a problem or as a market, The market option that demanded really a deep revision of the business models. Aspiration is a new variable that we had to take into the equation to be solved. And frankly, a reflection that we didn't have at that time in the year 2004, but we have today is, this is a must, for business sustainability, for not to say higher level sustainability. So that's more or less, this is introduction, this is the setup, what we're going to talk about. Here we see, something which is true is this. Each one of those households, each one of those households, they have electricity. So can you imagine, the informal grid that these people have built by themselves, and compare it with this, with the geometry, so to say, the layout of the distribution grid here in La Urbina or in Morumbi. Just imagine it, But it's a fact that both in Caracas and in Sao Paulo, the average consumption was something like between 200 and 240 and 250 kilowatt hours, So they consume energy, but energy of a very low quality, unstable. Wind, rain produce fluctuations in the voltage, and that damage their TVs, their refrigerators, and all that. So one thing that they told me was this: okay, Mr. Petterson, you don't understand really how the economy works here in the slums. We don't pay you, but we pay the person that repaired the TV or repaired the refrigerator. Something which is very interesting, already at that time there was a deep penetration of mobile phones, both in Sao Paulo and in Caracas, not to say. Okay, that's a picture. That's a real picture in Caracas, 2004. What you see here is the competitor we had in EDC. This is so to say, the informal utility, And this is the way he identifies the lines, okay? And they have to pay him. Usually they have to pay him. And in some cases, they better pay him. Okay, so that's a picture, 2004, and that was the measure of success we wanted, From this to this, from this to this. Not much philosophy. Okay, but between one picture and the other, we have to find the right business model. You have to be a business. Perhaps, for sure, not to make as much money as we did with residential or industrial customers, but it had to make sense in order to be sustainable and not dependable on who was the manager. Okay, results. I'm not going to read this. I copied this from the chapter 10 of a book that Patricia and Carlos, they are the editors of that. So my emphasis is not going to be on this, but the result was there. The result was there. So this is one. I don't know how many minutes I have left. 16 minutes, 17 minutes? 8 minutes, okay. So now, these initiatives, how did they look from the management perspective? I'm very nervous right now. This is the first time I present, this publicly. The first piece I have presented, I don't know how many times, so let's see how it goes, So, from the management perspectives, because this process, this really starts in the business. It starts with some people, always start with one person who talks to another one in a lunch, in a dinner, usually a lunch. So, and that's how this started too. The case is, we can typify it as a case where an important goal has been set up. Which one? Reduce the non-technical losses. Our initial perspective has not much sociology on it. It was just basically business economics, okay? And it changed. If it had not changed, we would not have the success we had. Part of the case, several models have been implemented, all missing the goal. We listen to people that have been there for 10 years, 15 years, experts in how not to do it, and how for decades trying to transform the low-income segment into a market. So we get a lot of advices on what not to do. So we decided to do something completely different. The interesting thing was this: we had no idea what to do. No idea. But the objective was quite clear. Objective was quite clear. My experience of the rest of the people was not really, we could not use historical expertise. So here is part of the case. And there is nobody to ask. And something was very important. We could not give up. We have to achieve the goal. The goal initially was reduce the non-technical losses. Someday I will explain to you what the non-technical losses is, you know. So, something that we are very careful not to become victims of the Bolero de Ravel syndrome, which means the same melody again and again and again. A friend of mine, a consultant, when he saw the slide, he told me, well, that's quite interesting, you know, because one of the definitions of insanity is trying to do the same things several times, expecting different outcomes, you know. Well, okay, this is the Bolero Ravel. In the company, I got a lot of advices that, you know, 15 years ago, we tried to do this and this. And 10 years ago, it was almost the same thing, which was basically this. Just to extend linearly the traditional administrative and operational process that worked very well for the for our clients, just to extend them to the favelas, to the barrio. It doesn't work. It's a different world, you know, a different world. Okay, so what's next? Okay, something of this, some analytics is of course is important, you know. Yeah, but it's not sufficient, you know. So I don't know whose picture is this, you know, but I don't remember the name of the guy, you know, but probably sitting there yet, you know. So the process, how it developed the process, the dynamic, you know. And I tell you, we had no roadmap. We didn't know exactly what to do. We didn't know exactly what to do. That's very important. So the determinism doesn't play has not much to say here. Even the determinism in a traditional, especially in the tradition of the organization, is really an impediment for this. It doesn't help. So, but along the process, we identify, let's say, eight relevant points here. One is that the future is not point-like. It's a region. You have to make a concession with having just a simple objective. Adaptability is the critical capability. Merge, which I call right here as a merge of the change process with final, is this. Basically, the nature of the process is much more algorithmic than anything else. That means that if we use the hand as a kind of analogy, the algorithm as in the finger points of the project. And as the project is, or the initiative, is interacting with reality, the decision are made here in the interface, but the decision which is made is really targeted at the objective. So it has directionality. It's not chaotic, you know. Then we talk about the pipeline and the gentle touch management. Pipeline is basically a space that you have to define as the objective is not point-like. It's a region. You have to define a pipeline of acceptable evolution of the process. And the gentle touch management means this. Okay, you cannot, so to say, you cannot direct the process just by controlling, you know, it, because you know where you want to go, but you don't know how to get there. So there's 2 minutes. Wow. Okay. So then we have other things that we can see very, very fast here, you know. Some points related to the point-like future, you know. Okay, there's no cookbook at hand. The adaptability, we have to balance. This is extremely important. Balance the external complexity with internal complexity. Complexity has nothing to do to being complicated, you know. It's more algorithmic than equational, as I mentioned. Flexibility in the design, firmness in the conduction. This is the pipeline, and there you get, when you see that the process kind of get out of the pipeline, then you get it a gentle touch. Not too hard, because it's an open program that is, so to say, evolving by its interaction with reality. Now, you can manage complex process using a small amounts of energy. That's a valid experience, you know. As you're getting closer to the objectives, let's say the patterns becomes process. And the efficient patterns becomes established process. And finally, something which is important, and perhaps this is a small example of this point. It's very important to write the playbook of the experience. In a nutshell, stop insisting with prove it and fail repertoire. Don't spend too much time trying to understand the why. Why have we fired the last 30 or 40 years? Focus on new type of unassuming opportunistic business models. Make frequent reality adjustment, and try to hit the goal as close as possible. You know. Some literature which helps has been very useful for us. Sao Paulo case, you can read it here in the chapter number 10. And the EDC case, December 2006. Is an article written by, I think, Patricia Marquez and somebody else. Okay, that's all. I don't know if I took my 50 minutes. Thank you.